What's going on, guys? So today we're working on this Mazda 3, 2009 Mazda 3. Came in with a complaint that it failed an emissions test. When we ran the codes on it, which actually it's got a code in it now, so we'll read them again. But basically what's going on is it's got a P0171, which is a lean code. System to lean bank 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run out a couple of tests, and I'll show you guys on the scan tool right now what we're seeing for the fuel readings, and I'll show you that this thing is excessively lean. And yeah, hopefully we'll get into a little bit of troubleshooting it. But let me spin you around, let me show you the scan tool right now, and I'll show you exactly what we're up against here with this one. Alright, so if you guys can see the scan tool there, we have some PIDs pulled up. We got barometric pressure, long-term fuel trim, mass airflow readings, and short-term fuel trim. Now what I want you guys to focus on is, one, the long-term fuel trim is at 20%. As you can see, there's a range of -35 to +35%. We're already at 20%, which means that we're almost out of fuel flow. Then if you look at the short-term trim, which is what's calculated and running as we speak right now, we're at 13%, and this has a range of -25 to +35. Now if you take your short term and add it to the long term, we are at a total corrected fuel trim of about 34-35%, which is right at its maximum, which will ultimately cause a check engine light with a P0171 for lean fuel mixture. Now what we want to check to make sure of is that this isn't a fuel pump issue or a fuel delivery issue. So we're going to step on the gas, and if the short-term fuel trim comes down when we step on the gas, we'll know that we're looking at a vacuum leak. So let's see what happens. Alright guys, so you can clearly see that the fuel trims do come down when we step on the throttle, which means that we do not have a fuel delivery issue. Our fuel delivery is just fine. What we have is a vacuum leak. So now what we're going to do with this is we're going to grab a hold of our smoke machine, and we are going to go under the hood of this thing. We're going to hook up to a vacuum line, fill it full of pressurized smoke, and see if we can physically see a vacuum leak. Now with these, a very common vacuum source leak location is the intake gaskets themselves. Intake manifold gaskets are made out of rubber. Over time they get brittle, they get hard, they don't seal as well, and this thing's got almost 160,000 miles on it, so we're probably in for a little bit of an interesting one. So let's get under the hood. I'll set you guys up on the tripod. If I could speak today, that would be amazing. I will set you guys up on the tripod. We're going to put some smoke to this thing and see what comes out. So we got the smoke machine running. We got the hose right here. I don't know if you can see it, but let me raise you guys up a little bit. Okay, so we got the smoke machine here. We got the hose running down to a vac port. The vacuum port actually for the the evap system. Vac port for the evap system goes directly into the intake manifold. So we're going to let this pressurize for a little bit and see if we can't see any smoke coming out anywhere. One of the main failure points is this line right here, which is the one that feeds the brake booster. The O-ring inside there fails under vacuum, but may not fail under pressure. So we're going to have to take a look at that. Then we're going to keep our eye open for smoke all in this general area here around the intake manifold gaskets and see what we can find. And hopefully the smoke machine will make this obvious, but we will know a little bit more very soon. Alright guys, so I didn't catch the smoke coming out because it came out from way back there and it stopped coming out once the system fully pressurized, so I wasn't able to catch it on camera. But I want to show you something interesting. Now the brake booster is back there, and it has a line that runs all the way around to right there at the very top. You can see it in the dead center of your screen. Now back there is the brake booster. Right now our short-term fuel trim is at 14. I'm going to take some brake clean, brake clean the English version, and we are going to take a look. So I didn't film, which I should have, but I had people here so I couldn't film. Or didn't want to film because that's kind of rude while they're standing here trying to talk to me. But what we found was when we smoke tested it, there was a lot of smoke coming back from right in there, which is where the brake booster lives. So ultimately what we did was we pulled the battery out, pulled all this stuff out, all the accessories that go along with the battery. Once we got that out, we pulled the battery box out, and we found that for some reason or another, and I don't know how because nobody's been back there, the vacuum line, which is this guy right here, was actually 3/4 of the way unplugged from the brake booster. So that's where our giant vacuum leak lived. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the scanner, and we're going to pick some values of data to look at here, which system, powertrain, okay. We'll pick these data PIDs, and we're going to start the vehicle and see where our fuel trims are. Now we had the battery disconnected, so we're probably going to see the fuel trims all at 0, which is a good thing because now everything is reset and we can see what's going on. Unless this is like your typical Ford setup where it keeps all that stuff in memory and you actually have to clear it, but we will see. All right, let's read data stream. I wish I wasn't so sniffly with you guys, because you gotta start hating that after a while. So we're gonna grab our short term and our long term. There's our long term. We'll grab our short term right there, hit OK. See what our values are at. Yeah. So our long term is 0, our short term is 0 because we had the battery disconnected. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go start the car and see where our short term fuel trim lives. So here we go. Alright, we'll let that go into closed loop. We'll see where we end up with fuel trims. Alright guys, so our trims are still a little bit high, which, I don't know what's going on here, but we're going to do some more investigation because we are still up a little bit higher than I would like. Alright guys, so here's our overall trims. 17.9 on the long term for right now, roughly 1.5 to 2.3, so we're running at about 18 to 20% total correction, which for this particular car is well within factory spec, which kind of blows my mind. I just looked it up, and it's actually within factory specification, which scares me a little bit because it doesn't leave much headway. We fixed the major vacuum leak that was back here at the brake booster, so we're no longer hitting at 35%-ish anymore, which is good. So we're running, like I said, right around 18 to 20. What my guess is that the rest of that is most likely from the intake gaskets. Like I said, this car's an 09, it's got 160K on it, so we're probably looking at intake gaskets and a few other odds and ends. But with the fuel trims being in spec as we speak right now, this car will run a drive cycle and it will pass an emissions test, and they'll be able to drive it further until the intake gaskets fail so completely that it starts doing the same thing again and they're getting lean codes. But for right now, I think we're going to call this one fixed. We got the major vacuum leak out of the way, and we will make sure that it goes down the road. We'll give it a quick test drive, make sure the check engine light doesn't come back on, and I think we're good. So, hope this guys gives you a little bit of, or I hope this gives you guys a little bit of insight on smoke testing a vehicle that may or may not have a vacuum leak. And who knows, maybe you'll learn something. But thanks for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. Check out the links below for all the tools that we use in this place. I'll link a smoke machine and a few other odds and ends that you can get to help you out with diagnosing cars. So, again, hope you enjoyed it. I will see you on the next one.
Bye.